What's up? Thralls of Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick, and I have another album review for you. Once again, this is another one that was brought to us courtesy of Screaming Toilet. Again, fun website, lots of cool blogs, music reviews, movie reviews, all sorts of cool stuff for pop culture junkies like myself. So today I'm reviewing Disowning's debut full-length, Human Cattle. This is a international band technically, since 3 of the members are from France, and then the other 2 are from Quebec. This comes out on Xenocorp Records, which is my first exposure to anything on their label. They're based out of France as well. Not a lot of history in terms of what the other members have done, outside of the frontman, who used to be a part of a French brutal death metal band called Offending, which I actually own one of their albums, so I kind of knew a little bit about this guy at least. As far as I know, I think they formed in 2015 or 2016. It's really fuzzy on that information because this is a pretty new band. They only have one other EP before this, and all the tracks that are on the EP appear on this album. So, unfortunately, it doesn't mean the EP stands on its own very well. This is more of a modern death metal band, where the production is a little bit cleaner. It's more focused on blast beats and more technical riffing, less straightforward chuggy riffing or kind of dense, muddy production that you hear in more old school death metal bands. So right away we start away with a song, Ghost Area, which I'm going to say some of these song titles get a little weird, maybe some of them are lost in translation. This is a good pace setter. It's very straightforward, very fast in terms of the chugging riffs and the blast beats. You notice right away the production is way more polished, there's not a lot of grit to it. But everything sounds exceptional, and again, with more technical music, you want that instrumentation to really stand out in the mix, and it works well here. So the vocals are delivered primarily in a nice low roar, sometimes even comparable to Michael Ackerfeld's low roars that we miss so much in Opeth. Now, you also get a taste of what the leads are like on this too, which the leads favor more melody than anything else. There's not a lot of squealy dive bombs. It's very melody-centered and borders on just kind of thrashy for the most part, but like I said, more melodic. So then we go into Battle of Neverness, and the mood changes a little bit on that one. This was one of the ones that appeared on the EP, which was called Battle of Neverness. So this one kind of opens with a nice, almost doomy riff, but over a nice double time beat. And it's smart to repeat this one because that becomes one of the hooks in this song. So this one felt a little bit more imaginative than the opener. Now the opener is still good, more, kind of a pace setter. This one, a little bit more explored than there. I thought the writing was a little bit more clever, and there's parts in here that lean towards melodic death metal as well, or at least more or less the brand you'd hear in a band like Black Dahlia Murder. I especially like the breakdown that comes around the 2-minute mark, and it has a cool tapping lead part over it that was really catchy. The next 3 tracks are good, but they kind of blend together. Now this is where they show off a little bit more technical flair. You get bits that sound a lot like Aborted or Hour of Penance, or even some tech death stuff such as Necrophagist. Another piece in the collection, while showing off all that, also shows off a little bit of that classic thrashy death metal that Florida was known for, namely Malevolent Creation and Monstrosity. There were parts in there that I thought were exceptionally well done and very chuggy and very catchy. Now, one of my issues with this album is it definitely favors that style throughout. There isn't a distinct mid-tempo to slower song on here to really break up the wall of intensity, which I love it when a band keeps their foot on the gas, and this band definitely does that. But to break up the monotony and to keep tracks from running into each other, it'd be nice to have more of a mid-tempo moment here. Now, there's nice groovy sections thrown in there, but they're done more sparingly. This album definitely favors speed and aggression, which is always cool. One of my particular favorites on here is Inner Emptiness. Like this one, instead of leaning more towards the technical death metal aspects that they had in some previous tracks, stripped it back down, went to a machine gun riff, very reminiscent of Deicide. That was the first band I thought of when hearing it. It is a massive chugathon, and while it is still fast and furious, much like a lot of these songs on here, this one sounded distinctly different because of the different approach. This one just sounded fresh And I like that popped out. Despite being just another fast song on here, this one actually stood out as a straightforward chug-a-thon with not a lot of frills, just meat and potatoes. That always gets me. One thing I kind of had an issue with was sometimes there's like a brilliant idea or a brilliant little moment and it doesn't repeat very much. There's one on The Servants of Chaos where this part leads into this really cool, almost kind of classical structure in terms of this little breakdown leads into the part that has a nice solo over it. And I would have liked to have seen them incorporate that moment before the solo, because the part where they do the solo is just kind of this, you know, it's a cool backing riff, but there was a lot of imagination in that riff before there. And I would have liked to see that repeat a bit and actually incorporate that with the solo that comes in, because the solo was really good. It just didn't have the extra punch of this really cool dynamic behind it. Just felt like a missed opportunity for a really killer dynamic moment in the song. Another one I liked in here was Alone on This Dark Path. This one had some really cool, distinct riffing. It really reminded me of a combination of a band like Abysmal Dawn mixed with the very signature, awesome riffing of a band like Psychroptic. So I had some nice groovy sections to it. All of this was headbangable, and honestly, I didn't stop headbanging throughout the entire listening of this album. I really enjoyed a lot of this album. This is really solid modern death metal. Now the closer, The Storm Before the Storm, this one favors groove over the blast beats. Now the blast beats are still in there. They come in more periodically for the most part, but it favors a nice chuggy mid-tempo feel for a good chunk of the song, and I really like that. But this one also brought up some issues I had with just the production, or rather the layout. Some of these songs end abruptly and they have a lot of dead air behind them. This one had a long fade out that took over a minute, and it was over a really, really cool part. The outro riff for this song in particular is really good, but you have this minute-long fade out that just takes too long, or it should have just kept going and then just faded out, you know, more abruptly. But you're also left with a bit of dead air behind it, which is like, I mean, that just seems like it should have been chopped down in editing. And there are other moments on here where that happens. So that's just more of a knock on how the album was laid out. So all in all, I'm going to give this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it, and it is a really solid modern death metal band, and it was a good break from, you know, the old school stuff that I usually listen to. Well produced, aside from some minor blunders here and there. I think the songwriting is really dynamic, really interesting. There's a lot of cool guitar parts in here. The bass really stands out. There's a lot of parts where the bass even takes the lead. And I really think this is a solid band, and it's cool to see them start off their career with a really solid release. So, if you like the review, give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. We do shit like this all the time. More reviews coming. Catch you guys later.